Hello, my name is Amanda and I'm going to explain to you the activities I've designed for this final task. Where the first activity I've proposed is called I Have Who Has, and this is an easy to play game that it's a great way to understand and to learn essential language concepts with the whole class. I have to hand out a card to each student, like this one. Okay. And as you can see, we have I have with a word and who has and a question with, in this case, is who has an experimentally determined number characteristic of a chemical element that represents the number of protons in the nucleus, which in a neutral atom equals the number of electrons outside the nucleus. Okay, and the student who has the correct answer, the word of this definition, has to read it aloud, and then he has to read I have his word and continue the game. Okay. Some students may need to have two cards depending on the number of the set, but it's important to use all of them, because if not, some students or students will not participate. Okay, I will choose a student to go first, which I can say. And every card in the set is connected to the card before it and a card after it. And to keep the game moving at a quick pace, it's important that the students pay attention to each other. So play continues in this fashion until all the cards have been played. So the game will end with the first student who started play. Okay. The material I have created for this activity is this type of flashcard, really simple, with all the vocabulary which I consider relevant to the test for the previous task. And each student works individually, but it's a group activity, so all students have to pay attention to each other. The second activity I've chosen is a group of crosswords. I have to divide the classroom in some groups. In this case, I think it's a good idea that they have to create a bumper words chain using all of the words of the list, the same vocabulary for the previous one, and this works well as a group assignment. Students could create a crossword with the combination words of easel paper or large poster board, and then groups can rotate around the classroom to solve their students' crossword. Depending on the number of students, they should have at least 5 words to create a great crossword. And I think it will be beneficial to show them an example, so I do it one. With the hot potato program, an interesting program to do different types of activities. And here I have here you can see my example with the words with the program organized whatever it wants. So the crossword where with the holes appear, and to complete it there are clues for each word, and the clue is the definition of each concept. So it's an easy way to finish it if there is some work or a word that the student cannot decipher. The clues are the definition, so they understand the concept and they learn the significance. Okay? Well, and the purpose of my activities is to learn the new concepts of the unit in a fun and practical way, and not by memorizing, and they will speak, listen, participate in dialogue, debate in an organized and clear manner, using the specific vocabulary. In addition, that the student works in groups, they will improve or promoting respectful and tolerant discussion of ideas, making decisions, and finally they have to reach an agreement. So it's a group activity, both of them are really interesting. In the second activity, indeed, students are thinking all of the time about the words they can solve, they can put in the crossword, and how they relate to other words, so thereby making associations. It engages students also in meaningful interaction with each other, and with their own words. The difficulties I've encountered in the design of these activities, for me, is the age of my students, because I think it's easier to prepare activities for children, but in the case of teenagers, everything seems boring and absurd for them. So it has been quite difficult for me to design two activities that may seem interesting for them. Okay. From my point of view, I think these activities are innovative because it's not the way that students are used to learning concepts. So furthermore, nowadays TICs are increasingly breaking into our classroom, but it's likely that they already know all the games like Kahoot, for example, which I love. But in this case, I preferred to design two activities, innovative activities, but manual activities. Well, to conclude, the assessment criteria for the first activity will be group, since the goal is to match all the cards, and only in this way is the game successfully concluded. So I think it's a good idea to learn the new vocabulary, but I cannot include it for my criteria assessment. Instead of for the second activity, the assessment will be for each group of students, depending on the number of crosswords they solve in a certain time. So this activity will be interested to use by each unit and could result in 10%, for example, for the final grade of the subject. So we can do this activity in each unit. We can learn, and we can assessment with a low mark, but an interest type of activity to mark. And that's all. I think these activities will be interesting and useful for my students. Thank you so much.